I want to talk about Antarctica. They are clearly protecting or preserving something that may or may not be under 3 miles of ice.
There's undoubtedly a time when Antarctica was lush and green.
Buried under Antarctica's ice, scientists found something so terrifying it could rewrite history. Hidden in a frozen cave, strange structures and eerie signals defy all explanation. Maps from centuries ago showed details long before modern explorers arrived. The world was told Antarctica was just ice, but that was a lie. Tune in as we uncover a truth so shocking, it will change everything. The secrets Antarctica wasn't supposed to keep. Thousands of years ago, before everything turned into a frozen hellscape, Antarctica was something entirely different. Scientists say there was a time when the continent was not a wasteland. It was warm. It had forests. Life thrived. Some even say there was an ancient civilization living there, a society lost beneath the ice. But how did it get buried? And why does no one talk about it? Beneath miles of ice, something stirs, waiting to be uncovered, its secrets untouched for millennia. Some people believe the entire crust of the Earth has shifted in massive movements over time, dragging entire continents from one climate zone to another. Imagine Earth's outer shell sliding around like loose skin. If that is true, then Antarctica was not always at the South Pole. It might have been a place where humans, or something else, lived before an earth-shattering catastrophe buried everything in ice. Of course, scientists roll their eyes at this idea, saying there is no solid proof. But have they really looked hard enough? Then there are the myths, the ancient stories from cultures around the world talking about great floods, lost lands, and forgotten knowledge. Atlantis, Lemuria, legendary places wiped out in cataclysms. What if these were not just stories? What if the floods that supposedly drowned these civilizations were real and the survivors fled to new lands, carrying their knowledge with them? Some even suggest that the great civilizations we do know, like the Egyptians and Sumerians, got their advanced knowledge from a much older culture that came before them. And where did that knowledge originate? Maybe, just maybe, Antarctica. The evidence gets even weirder. Satellite images show what look like massive structures hidden under the ice. Shapes that resemble pyramids, perfect, symmetrical, and way too geometric to be natural. There are also maps like the Eerie race map from the 1500s that show Antarctica's coastline in detail before it was officially discovered in the 1820s. How did anyone know what the land looked like centuries before modern exploration? Unless, of course, someone had seen it before it was covered in ice. And here is where things get really wild. Military expeditions, secret operations, government cover-ups. One of the most mysterious missions ever conducted in Antarctica was Operation High Jump, a United States Navy operation in the 1940s. Officially, it was about training and exploration, but conspiracy theorists believe it had a different goal. Some say the military was investigating something hidden beneath the ice, something otherworldly. Admiral Richard Byrd, the leader of the mission, supposedly hinted at seeing things that defied explanation, flying objects moving at impossible speeds. Was the United States military looking for ancient alien technology? A lost civilization? Something else entirely? And it is not just the military that seems interested in Antarctica. Some of the world's richest and most powerful people have made quiet trips to the frozen continent. Why? Just sightseeing? Or do they know something the rest of us do not? Rumors swirl about hidden underground bases, secret research projects, and discoveries that could change everything. Some even believe there are entrances to a hidden world beneath the ice. Massive caverns, underground lakes, maybe even a lost city still waiting to be uncovered. Then there is the talk of extraterrestrial connections. Some theorists claim that alien civilizations might have once lived, or still live, under the ice. Think about it. Antarctica is one of the least explored places on Earth. If you were an advanced civilization looking to hide, would you not pick the most remote, inhospitable place possible? Strange signals have been detected coming from beneath the ice. Unexplained lights have been spotted in the sky, and whistleblowers claim the government knows more than they are letting on. The idea of alien technology buried in Antarctica is not as far-fetched as it sounds. Imagine what could be hidden under miles of ice. advanced machinery, energy sources beyond anything we can comprehend, even spacecraft. What if the technology that could solve the world's energy crisis or propel humanity into space has been sitting there for thousands of years, locked away and out of reach? And let us not forget about the whispers of secret underground bases. Some believe powerful elites have built hidden bunkers in Antarctica, places designed to survive global catastrophes. If the world was on the verge of collapse, whether from climate change, nuclear war, or something even worse, where would the richest and most powerful people go? A fortress beneath the ice, far away from prying eyes, seems like a pretty good bet. Sometimes the biggest discoveries aren't the ones everyone sees, but the ones kept hidden, waiting for the right time to come out. Caverns, signals, and secrets. People have been spinning theories about weird stuff happening in Antarctica for ages. But here's the kicker. Some say they've actually seen massive openings in the ice, cave entrances big enough to hide, well, something not exactly natural. Then there's the funky energy readings. Every now and then, satellites pick up strange heat sources or electromagnetic signals under all that ice. Scientists will tell you it is probably geothermal activity. Others? They say it is something way beyond that. Maybe alien technology buried deep below, humming away, waiting to be discovered. And let's talk about those research missions. You would think they are all about studying climate change, glaciers and penguins, right? But what if that is just the cover story? Some believe these expeditions are actually hunting for something far more mysterious, maybe even digging into extraterrestrial technology. Imagine underground labs hidden under the ice, scientists working around the clock, trying to reverse engineer whatever is down there. Sounds wild, but there have been crazier things that eventually turned out to be true. Now let's bring billionaires into the mix, because of course they are involved. Ever wonder why some of the world's wealthiest people suddenly develop an interest in one of the most desolate places on the planet? There is chatter that these high rollers are not just investing in climate research. They are looking for something else. Some say they have been flown out to remote locations in Antarctica, sitting down with beings not of this world. What for? Well, maybe they are brokering deals, exchanging resources, trading technology, or even discussing how to reshape the world as it is known. Think about it. If there really is alien technology under the ice, whoever gets their hands on it first is not just winning the space race, they are rewriting the rules of power on Earth. There is talk of propulsion systems that could make space travel effortless, energy sources that could turn fossil fuels into a relic of the past, and weapons beyond anything any military currently has. The kind of technology that could catapult a handful of people to godlike levels of control over the rest of humanity. Because when has anyone ever found something that powerful and simply shared it with the world? And then there is the even bigger question. What if it is not just technology they are dealing with? Some theories suggest that extraterrestrials might be setting up shop in Antarctica for their own reasons. Maybe they have been there for centuries, quietly observing, stepping in when needed. Some even whisper about a new world order being cooked up right there under the ice. A coalition of billionaires, world leaders, and possibly non-human entities, all working together to shape what is next for civilization. And if something like this is happening, it is not happening in public. It is happening in places where no one can just stumble upon the truth. And speaking of hidden knowledge, let's rewind to something else suspicious: maps that should not exist. Ever heard of the Peary Race map? This thing was drawn in the early 1500s, and yet it somehow shows Antarctica's coastline without its ice cover. Something that, according to official history, should not have been possible to see back then. Either someone had X-ray vision for landmasses, or they were working off much older maps from a civilization that knew more than they are given credit for. Graham Hancock, a guy who digs into lost history, points out how weird this is. If ancient seafarers really charted Antarctica thousands of years ago, that means they were sailing in a time when the place was not buried under miles of ice. And if that is true, there are two options. Either the timeline of history is way off, or someone had access to knowledge that was somehow passed down over generations. Knowledge that was eventually forgotten. Either way, it means the understanding of the past might be missing a huge chunk of the real story. Then there is the matter of longitude. Accurately mapping it was not supposed to be possible until the 18th century, but some of these ancient maps get it right. Coincidence? Hancock does not think so. He believes it is evidence of a lost advanced civilization, one that might have had navigational tools way ahead of their time. Maybe they were wiped out in some global catastrophe, leaving behind only fragments of their knowledge. If true, this changes everything known about human history. Now, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, there is the theory that something massive happened around 12,000 years ago. A cataclysm so big it wiped out civilizations and sent humanity back to the Stone Age. Hancock and others suggest that a comet might have been behind it, triggering floods, earthquakes, and rapid climate shifts that left the survivors scrambling to start over. Some of the proof? Ice core samples from Greenland and Antarctica that show a sudden and extreme climate shift. If a comet did hit, it would explain why so many ancient myths talk about massive floods and lost lands. Stories that might not be fiction, but memories of a real disaster. And here is where things get even stranger. There are signs that someone, maybe a surviving group from this lost civilization, tried to preserve what they knew. Maybe they passed it down through myths and legends. Maybe they left behind maps. Maybe they even influenced later civilizations. But if they did, that knowledge eventually faded or was deliberately erased. Now fast forward to today, and suddenly there is all this secretive interest in Antarctica. Why? Is it just about climate change and scientific research? Or are people in the know finally piecing things together, uncovering what has been hidden for thousands of years? The connection between lost knowledge, advanced technology, and Antarctica's secrets is too big to ignore. Whatever they found, or thought they found, out there in the ice was enough to rattle even the toughest military leaders. And when powerful people get nervous, history tends to change. Frozen clues to an ancient cataclysm. Back in the day, like right after World War II, the United States launched this massive military operation called Project High Jump. It was not some tiny research mission. We are talking about over 4,700 military personnel, a fleet of ships and aircraft, all heading to the coldest, most uninhabitable place on Earth. Why? Officially, it was all about testing cold weather gear and equipment, but that explanation feels a little thin when you dig deeper. Now, if you are the kind of person who thinks governments only tell the whole truth, this next part might be tough for you. See, there are plenty of whispers that Project High Jump was not just about playing in the snow. Some folks think they were actually looking for something buried deep under the ice. Advanced technology, lost civilizations, maybe even something not of this world? Who knows? But there is enough weirdness around the whole thing to make you wonder. One of the wildest parts, the whole thing wrapped up way earlier than expected. Officially, bad weather was the reason they packed it in, but people have speculated that they ran into something or someone that made them rethink their whole mission. And get this, Admiral Richard Byrd, the guy in charge, later talked about seeing aircraft that could move at unimaginable speeds, ones that did not need conventional fuel. Now let us talk numbers because they matter. 13 ships, aircraft carriers, destroyers, supply ships. You name it, they brought it. This was not a casual science trip. It was a full-blown military operation, decked out with some of the best technology of the time. And with all that firepower and preparation, why did they suddenly decide they had to leave? Strange, right? Then there is the German angle. Before the war ended, Germany was known to have a serious interest in Antarctica. They even went on their own expedition in the late 1930s, claiming land and naming it New Swabia. Theories swirl that they did not just visit, they stayed, built bases, maybe even found something. And if that is true, then maybe the United States was not the first to go poking around in the ice looking for secrets. And here is another fun detail. Antarctica is covered in these weird magnetic anomalies. Scientists have detected areas where the Earth's magnetic field is all out of whack. Some of these spots coincide with deep, hidden structures under the ice, ones that do not seem to be natural formations. Could they be remnants of something ancient, maybe even non-human? It is not as crazy as it sounds when you remember that we have barely scratched the surface of what is buried beneath miles of frozen history. Of course, skeptics will say it is all nonsense, that high jump was just a military training exercise, that the Germans never built a base in Antarctica, that there is nothing down there but snow and ice. But the thing about secrets, they do not stay buried forever, and with modern technology allowing us to peer deeper and deeper into the ice, who knows what will be uncovered next? Shifting gears a bit, let us talk about another strange piece of history. the Denisovans. You have heard of Neanderthals, but these guys? They are even more mysterious. Denisova Cave, hidden in Siberia's Altai Mountains, holds some of the most mind-blowing discoveries about ancient human history. We are talking about a species of humans we did not even know existed until a tiny pinky bone was discovered in 2008. That single bone rewrote our entire understanding of human evolution. DNA analysis showed that Denisovans were not just another offshoot, they interbred with modern humans and Neanderthals. And get this, some populations today, especially in Asia and Oceania, still carry Denisovan DNA. Now, what makes them really fascinating is that they were not just primitive cavemen. The artifacts found in Denisova Cave suggest they were advanced, possibly even more advanced than Neanderthals. Jewelry, tools, stuff that shows a level of sophistication that challenges everything we thought we knew. Could they have had knowledge or technology that got lost to time? Maybe even stories that hinted at something buried beneath the ice? It is a long shot, but history has a funny way of surprising us. And speaking of Siberia, let us take a quick trip to the Valley of Death. Sounds welcoming, right? This place is in Yakutia, one of the coldest, most remote parts of Russia. Locals tell stories of strange metallic structures scattered across the land, huge domes partially buried, sometimes warm to the touch, sometimes giving off odd vibrations. Legends say they are ancient weapons or alien technology, and those who get too close do not always come back the same. Science does not have solid answers on them yet, but the stories alone are enough to send shivers down your spine. Then there is the Tunguska event, June 30th, 1908. A massive explosion flattened thousands of square kilometers of forest. The energy released was about 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. No impact crater, just trees blown over in a perfect radial pattern. Scientists say it was probably a comet or asteroid airburst, but theories abound, ranging from alien explosions to secret weapon tests. The Arctic, too, has its share of mysteries. Icebreakers, nuclear-powered ships, high-tech submarines. Humans have figured out how to navigate this frozen wasteland. But why are so many nations so interested in it now? Could it be more than just oil and shipping routes? Could there be something else locked beneath the ice? And then there is the genetic side of things. What if history is not what we think? What if ancient civilizations knew things we do not? What if the past is not just a straight line of progression, but something more cyclical, with forgotten knowledge waiting to be rediscovered? With advances in DNA studies and archaeology, we are getting closer and closer to unlocking secrets that have been buried for millennia. So what if we have been looking at history all wrong? What if our entire timeline needs a rewrite? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, like, and subscribe.